Have you ever woken up feeling like you're already running but you don't even know where to? The moment your eyes open, your mind is already racing with tasks to do, people to respond to, deadlines to catch. And just like that, the day begins like a wave crashing in, pulling you along before you could even catch your breath. But then, there are those other kinds of mornings. A quiet sky, a deep breath at dawn, a brief moment where you actually feel alive. Not rushing, not reacting, just fully here, awake and present. And those small, quiet moments, if nourished the right way, can truly shift the rhythm of your entire life. For over 2,000 years, Buddhist monks have been starting their mornings this way. They don't wait for chaos to practice calm. They begin the day by planting peace intentionally, gently, through simple but profound habits. Because they understand, the morning isn't just the start of a day. It's the foundation of a mindful life. Today, I'd like to share 8 timeless morning habits rooted in the Buddhist teachings. They may seem simple, but they carry the power to help you live more peacefully from the inside out. 1. Practicing gratitude. Some mornings, instead of waking up feeling rested, we feel heavy. Before even getting out of bed, the mind rushes to all the things that are missing, unfinished tasks, restless sleep, the weight of a life that still feels incomplete. But if we pause, even just for a few seconds, and really look around, something shifts. We might notice we're lying in a warm bed. Soft morning light slipping through the curtains. Maybe the sound of birds outside, or the smell of coffee brewing. Or simply this, a new day, fully intact. In Buddhist teaching, there's a powerful truth. We suffer not because we lack, but because we fail to see what we already have. Suffering begins not with circumstance, but with perception. When the heart only sees what's missing, it stays empty, no matter how much we gain. But when the heart turns toward gratitude, even a warm cup of tea becomes a small miracle. There's a quiet story that illustrates this beautifully. A man once came to the Buddha with an ache he couldn't name. He had a home, a stable job, loving family, yet something always felt missing. The Buddha asked gently, "Do you ever feel grateful for what you already have?" The man was silent, because for so long his attention had only focused on what he hadn't achieved: status, money, recognition, and he had overlooked the simple, precious gifts that had always been there. The Buddha said, "Gratitude is the medicine for an anxious mind. When you can see the beauty in the ordinary, you stop chasing the extraordinary to be happy." Practicing gratitude doesn't mean sitting in meditation for hours or reciting long chants. It can begin with something as small as this. Each morning, before the rush begins, take a moment, just a few minutes, to name 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big. It could be the breeze outside your window, a warm breakfast, a kind message from someone you care about, or simply this: "I'm still here. I have another day to begin again." When practiced regularly, gratitude becomes more than a morning habit. It becomes a way of seeing. And what's surprising is, the small things we used to overlook suddenly become the very things that carry us. I remember a woman once shared with me during a Dharma gathering in the Western U.S. She had gone through a deep depression, she lost her job, her partner left. Each morning, she said, she could barely get out of bed. Life felt gray and distant. Then she tried a practice she had learned. Each morning, write down 3 things you're grateful for, even if they seem insignificant. In the beginning, her list was simple. I'm still breathing. There's hot water in the tap. My cat is curled up next to me. But slowly, those small things lit a path out of the dark. Modern science now confirms what the Buddha taught centuries ago. that gratitude improves mental health, lowers anxiety, boosts immunity, and deepens our relationships. But even more importantly, for those on the path, it brings us back to the present, to what is here, and reminds us that joy never truly left. Maybe you're living in a fast-paced city where everything feels like it's constantly moving. But each morning, if you could pause just for a moment and really listen to your heart, ask yourself, what am I grateful for today? And when the heart has been watered by gratitude, the next question naturally arises. How can I reconnect with my body through mindful movement? Let's take that next step together. 2. Moving with mindfulness. Here's something most people rarely think about. Our bodies can feel neglected too. Sometimes we're not tired because we didn't sleep enough, but because we haven't truly paid attention to our bodies in a long time. We wake up and immediately our minds jump ahead. We think about work, emails, responsibilities, but we forget to pause and feel our own feet on the ground, or notice how tight our shoulders are after the night. In Buddhist practice, there's a foundational form of meditation called walking meditation mindful steps. The Buddha taught, when you walk, just know that you are walking. Not walking to get somewhere, but walking to be here. Each step is a breath. Each breath is a return. And that return, it begins with the body. Instead of rushing into the day, try giving your body a few minutes to awaken gently. Maybe a simple stretch, a short yoga routine, or just a slow walk around your home. If done with awareness, even the smallest movement becomes a sacred ritual awakening both body and mind. It may seem small, but in those quiet motions, we begin to remember we are alive. This body has never abandoned us. We just sometimes forget it's here. The body is the first home we were ever given. And each morning, if we take the time to listen to it, to care for it, we also awaken our inner awareness. I remember an old monk sharing a story from the monastery. A young novice had just joined. Every morning, he was diligent, meditating, chanting, studying the teachings, but he often forgot to sweep the meditation hall. One day, the abbot simply said, "You can sweep the leaves in the yard, but do it with mindfulness." At first, the novice thought, simple enough, just sweeping, right? But then, each morning, broom in hand, he began to notice the sound of the breeze, the feeling of his feet on the cool stone, the rhythm of his breath guiding each motion. And he realized he wasn't just sweeping leaves, he was sweeping the dust from his heart. That's what mindful movement is about. Not just motion, but connection. In today's fast-paced world, moving with presence is a rare and priceless gift. You don't need a gym. You don't need perfect form. All you need is to be present in your movement. Relax your shoulders. Walk a little slower. Let your breath guide you. Some people say, I don't have time to exercise in the morning. But maybe the real question is, am I living in my body or just living in my head? A middle-aged woman once shared her experience with me. She often had chronic neck and shoulder pain, though she didn't do physical labor. Doctors, pills, even physical therapy didn't help. But when she began the simple habit of slow, mindful walking each morning, just 5 minutes in her backyard, something changed. The pain began to ease. Because so much of our tension comes from being disconnected from our own body. When the mind returns, the body begins to heal. And it can all begin so gently. A silent stretch. A few barefoot steps on dewy grass. A deep breath while washing your face. And when you combine this with gratitude, as we shared earlier, your morning becomes a quiet ceremony, a ritual of aliveness. In Buddhist imagery, the body is like a boat. The mind is the one rowing. If you only focus on steering but ignore the boat, it will wear down. Eventually, even the strongest rower will tire. But if you care for both body and mind, the boat will sail far, the mind will stay calm, and life itself will move to a gentler rhythm. 3. Waking up in silence. There's a habit that seems simple, but carries a quiet power to transform your entire day. It's this: begin your morning in silence. Not silence from lack of sound, but an intentional kind of quiet. A space where your body and mind can gently come into alignment after the stillness of sleep. Because most of us, let's be honest, don't start the day with our breath. We start with notifications, messages, buzzing alerts, a phone lighting up. Before we even sit up, we're pulled into noise, and we wonder why our hearts feel rushed and unsettled. The Buddha once said, "The mind is like a lake. Only when the surface is still can you see the moon." Morning silence, even just for a few minutes, is a way to still that surface. To begin the day with clarity, not clutter. One practitioner once told me how she changed her whole rhythm of life with just one shift. She didn't speak for the first 15 minutes of the day. No phone, no television, no conversation, not even with her family. She just sat, sipped tea in quiet, watched morning light stretch across the kitchen, listened to the birds, and listened to herself. She said the silence didn't make her feel alone. It made her feel closer to herself than she'd ever been. Old thoughts, subtle emotions, quiet questions, they all surfaced like gentle ripples on a pond. And in that stillness, she knew what needed to be done, what needed to be released, and what mattered. For those of us on the path, silence isn't about running away from life. It's about stepping back just far enough to see it clearly again. Like a musician tuning their instrument before a song. Too tight, the string will snap. Too loose, and it falls flat. But without stopping to tune, there is no music at all. And in this life, you are the one playing the music of your days. But you need silence to know where you're out of tune. In many monasteries, elder monks follow a beautiful rhythm. No one speaks for the first hour after waking. A gentle bell rings. No chatter, no morning gossip, no worries about yesterday or today. They just walk in the courtyard, sweep leaves in silence, brew tea, meditate, or simply breathe together in quiet. Because they know those first moments when the mind is still tender, if filled with noise, can derail the whole day. But if held in enough silence, they become the seeds of stillness that last all day long. Not everyone can live in a monastery, but everyone can offer themselves a few minutes of silence each morning. Maybe 5 minutes without reaching for the phone, 3 minutes by the window, watching the light shift. A single moment of stillness, hands wrapped around a warm cup, without rushing to do anything. In that doing nothing, the mind can rest. And from that quiet soil, clarity grows. Morning silence is fertile ground, where peace, wisdom, and gratitude can all take root. If we're patient enough not to speak, not to scroll, not to react. And the most beautiful part? Silence doesn't ask you to learn anything new. It simply asks you to let go. Let go of noise. Let go of urgency. Let go of the reflex to control everything. The moment you wake up. 4. Breakfast with presence. Most mornings, this is how breakfast goes for many of us. One hand holding coffee, the other scrolling through the phone. Your mouth is chewing, but your mind? already racing, thinking about your to-do list, unread emails, upcoming meetings, or some lingering worry from yesterday. And before you know it, breakfast is over and you don't even remember what you just ate. In Buddhist teachings, there's a quiet but powerful question that cuts deep. Are you eating your food or swallowing your thoughts? Because eating isn't just fueling the body. Eating mindfully is a ritual of life. It's a moment of connection to nature, to the sky and the earth, to the countless people who planted, harvested, delivered, and prepared this food. So that one spoon of rice, one slice of bread, one cup of milk could reach you. A Zen master once said, "One spoon of soup eaten with gratitude and presence can nourish both body and soul. But 10 fancy meals eaten in distraction only fill the stomach, not the heart." In monasteries, meals are often taken in complete silence. Not because they're strict, but because they understand. Only in silence can you truly taste your food. Not just the salt or the herbs, but the taste of life itself. And honestly, anyone who's ever spent time in a hospital or gone through hardship with food scarcity knows how precious a simple meal really is. But the more we get used to abundance, the easier it is to forget the value of every bite. A story was shared once by an elderly woman at a mindfulness retreat. After her husband passed, everything in her daily routine was thrown off. Except one thing. She kept her slow morning breakfast ritual. Just a piece of toast, a warm cup of tea, no television, no phone, no noise, just sitting as if sharing breakfast with an old friend. And it was that simple ritual that helped her through the loneliest mornings. Because sometimes presence doesn't come from others. It comes from how we show up for ourselves. In Buddhism, there's a beautiful practice called mindful eating. It doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to turn breakfast into a big spiritual ceremony. Just try this. Before you eat, pause for a few seconds. Really look at your food. Silently say thank you not just to the cook, but to the earth, the water, the sun, the wind. Eat slowly. Taste each bite. Don't rush. Don't judge. No multitasking, no phone in one hand while eating with the other. And most importantly, know that you are eating. Because in that moment, body and mind reunite. The hunger is not only eased in the belly, it's comforted in the heart. Because some kinds of hunger don't come from lack of food, they come from lack of presence. For a mindful practitioner, every meal is an opportunity to practice. Because eating happens every day. And if you make it a conscious habit, you don't need extra time to meditate. You are already meditating in the middle of breakfast. And when done every morning, this simple practice can reshape the entire rhythm of your day. You'll find yourself rushing less, reacting less, feeling less of that invisible emptiness. Because your mind has already been nourished from the very start of your day in a gentle, quiet, and deeply grateful way. 5. Starting with mindful breathing. Of all the things that can shift the tone of your day, your breath is probably the simplest, the closest, and also the most often overlooked. Think about it. How many mornings have you opened your eyes only to have your mind race off like a wild horse? Tasks to do, emails to answer, meetings, notifications, responsibilities. And before you've even gotten out of bed, your heart's already pounding, your breath is tight, like you're preparing to enter battle. But here's the thing, there's another way, and you don't have to go looking far. It begins with a single breath. In Buddhism, the breath isn't just a biological function. It's a bridge between body and mind, a thin thread. And if you know how to hold on to it, it can pull you out of anxiety's current and bring you right back to now. The Buddha taught in the Anapanasati Sutta, breathing in, I know that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. That's it. Simple, but it holds a profound truth. If you know you're breathing, you are awake, present, alive. There was once a young monk who had just entered the monastery. He asked his teacher, Master, every morning I wake up and my mind feels like a storm. Where should I begin? The old teacher didn't say anything right away. He just smiled, sat down, and took 3 slow, deep breaths. Then he said, Don't begin with thoughts. Begin with your breath. That's what saved the young monk from his inner whirlwind. So many people have shared the same realization. Just pausing for 3 mindful breaths each morning changes everything. They no longer feel dragged by the flood of morning worries. Those 3 breaths? Like a bell gently calling them back. Not back home, but back to themselves. There's a single father I once met at a meditation center in California. He told me, mornings felt like a race. Waking up my kid, making breakfast, checking my schedule. I was living by the clock. Then I started stopping for just 60 seconds each morning, just to breathe. And you know what? It didn't give me more time. It gave me presence in the time I already had. The breath, when noticed, becomes an anchor. Every deep inhale is a reminder. I am not just my racing thoughts. I am not just this buzzing phone. I'm alive. Right here. Right now. And only this moment is real. Try this simple practice. Before you grab your phone, before you jump out of bed, just sit up, relax your shoulders, and take 3 deep, conscious breaths. Feel the cool air enter through your nose. Feel your chest rise and fall. You don't have to feel calm. You don't have to clear your mind. Just be here. Even modern science is catching up to this ancient wisdom. Studies from Harvard and UCLA show that just a few minutes of mindful breathing in the morning can lower cortisol, your stress hormone, improve focus, and help you respond better to unexpected situations throughout the day. So, in a world that's only getting louder and faster, pausing for 3 breaths each morning might be the gentlest way to nourish your deepest peace. Because once your mind returns to your body through the breath, once presence is awakened in the early light, you'll be ready for the next step. Setting an intention for your day, a quiet promise to yourself. It doesn't need to be big or dramatic, but it might just shape the way you live the rest of the day. And that is where we'll go next. 6. Setting an intention for the day. Every morning is a blank page, but most of us wake up and jump into the day as if we're just continuing a messy paragraph from yesterday, filled with stress, pressure, and thoughts we never paused to release. But what if the morning could be more than just a continuation? What if it was a moment to reset our inner compass? To choose how we want to live instead of simply repeating patterns? In mindfulness practice, we call this a morning intention. A quiet whisper to yourself. How do I want to live today? Not, what do I have to do? But rather, who do I want to be while doing those things? There's a story from Buddhist tradition. A disciple once asked the Buddha, how do I stop getting swept away by this chaotic world? The Buddha replied, plant the seed of mindfulness early in the day. When it's planted at the right time, it will grow strong and keep you grounded throughout your journey. That seed, it can be as simple as a morning intention. 1 sentence. Something like, today I choose kindness. I will move through this day with patience. I vow to speak with peace in my words. No need for something fancy. No need to be perfect. Just something honest and quiet enough that your heart can actually hear it. At a retreat in Oregon, a woman in her 50s once shared this. Most of my life, I reacted automatically, especially when someone hurt me. I'd snap back. But once I began setting a morning intention, even something as simple as, today, I choose to listen before I react, things started to shift. Not because others became less rude, but because I became less easily shaken. That's the power of an intention. It shapes the way you see the world. Like putting on a new pair of glasses. Suddenly, your mind knows what to hold on to and what to let go. In Buddhist teachings, this is closely tied to right intention, one of the key elements of the Noble Eightfold Path. An intention isn't just a vague wish. It's a quiet inner force that guides your actions. It helps you live with awareness instead of being carried away by old habits. Many longtime practitioners I know keep a small notebook beside their bed. Each morning they write down just one line. Sometimes it's a single word: patience, stillness, forgiveness. Sometimes it's a phrase, but it's always a choice to live with purpose. And here's the beautiful part. When planted mindfully, that intention becomes an anchor. As the day unfolds and challenges arise, you can ask yourself, what did I choose this morning? That one question can bring you back to yourself. A friend once told me, it's like the string of a kite. Life may pull and toss you around, but the intention, if tied well, keeps you from drifting too far from who you are. And the best part? Your morning intention doesn't need anyone's approval. It's not a promise to the world. It's a quiet commitment to yourself. Just a few minutes after breathing, after your heart has settled, sit still and ask yourself gently, today, what quality do I want to grow? Maybe it's compassion. Maybe it's courage. Maybe it's simply, today I choose to slow down a little. And once that intention is set, once the mind has found its direction, a new door opens. It's the door to compassion, a quiet strength that can soften even the deepest suffering in ourselves and in others. Let's step into that together. In the next part, 7, sending out loving kindness. There's something quietly powerful, something almost magical, that most people overlook every morning. It's this simple act, sending out loving kindness. No rituals, no fancy words, just a soft whisper in the heart. May you be well. To someone you love, to a stranger you may never meet, and yes, to yourself. You see, many people think compassion is something grand, something reserved for saints or monks. But the truth? Compassion is deeply human, real, humble, and something we need every single day. Because we live in a world where people get hurt easily, sometimes just by a glance, a careless word, or a moment of neglect. The Buddha once said, hatred is never ended by hatred. It is only through love that hatred ceases. This is an eternal truth. That's why sending out loving kindness, especially in the morning, acts like a quiet medicine. It heals the silent anger, the old wounds that haven't been named, and the negative emotions we haven't quite faced. There's a well-known story in Buddhism. One day, a man filled with rage walked up to the Buddha and spit on him. Everyone was shocked, but the Buddha simply wiped his face and calmly asked, "Do you have anything else you'd like to say?" The man was stunned. His anger met no retaliation, only compassion. And in that moment, a seed of awakening was quietly planted in him. Because compassion isn't weakness. It's a deep, steady strength. The choice not to cause harm, even when you have the right to. In modern life, compassion can begin in very small ways. After your morning breath, after you've set your intention, you might gently offer thoughts like, "May the mother rushing to get her child to school be safe. May the bus driver this morning move through traffic with ease. May my grumpy neighbor find some peace today. And don't forget, may I too be at ease today." There was a woman I once met at a retreat. She was in her mid-50s. She shared how she had lived most of her life in a defensive state, always guarding herself, sharp with her words, quick to judge. But one day, she was introduced to a practice called loving kindness meditation. Each morning, she began silently sending good wishes to others. At first, her heart felt dry, but little by little, she softened. Her reactions weren't as harsh. She stopped jumping to conclusions so quickly. She said something beautiful. "I don't know if the world has changed, but I have." In Buddhist practice, this is known as metta bhavana, the cultivation of loving kindness. It often begins with someone you care about. You think of them and silently offer, "May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be happy." Then you gradually expand it to acquaintances, to strangers, even to those who've hurt you, and finally bring it back to yourself. Here's the beautiful part. The first person to be healed is the one who sends the kindness. Modern science confirms this too. Studies show that people who practice loving kindness meditation produce higher levels of oxytocin, the hormone responsible for connection, trust, and emotional healing. They also report less stress, better emotional health, and a greater ability to bounce back from pain. In other words, compassion not only softens the world, it softens us. So each morning, if you can, even just for 1 minute, send out a silent blessing to someone. No need for them to know. No need for them to respond. Just let your heart be real and sincerely wish them well. That one thought is a seed, a wholesome seed planted deep in your own mind. And if enough of us did that, if just a few more hearts woke up each morning with kindness, this world might soften a little, and so would our own hearts. And once you've nourished your inner compassion, you'll be ready to listen to one of life's most powerful, silent teachers, the natural world around you. Let's step into that together and listen closely to the wind, the light, and the gentle breath of the earth. 8. Harmonizing with nature. Sometimes the answer to a chaotic day isn't in a book. It's right outside your window, where a single leaf dances gently in the wind, where morning sunlight slips through the clouds, where a bird sings not to impress, just to exist. Nature, when we listen deeply, is a silent but wise teacher. It doesn't speak in words yet somehow. It reminds us of who we are. In Buddhism, nature isn't seen as something outside of us. It's a reflection of our inner world. Watch a river flowing, you'll see impermanence. See a flower bloom and fade, you'll understand life is made of fleeting, delicate moments. See the clouds drifting, you'll realize your mind, too, can learn to float gently. There's a story from the Buddha's time. He didn't teach in grand halls. He retreated into forest. He sat beneath trees, watching life unfold just as it was. A bee searching for nectar, the breeze brushing through leaves, sunlight filtering across the bark. Nothing forced, nothing competing, just life, quietly breathing together. And it was in such a place, in the stillness of the forest morning, that the Buddha attained enlightenment. That's why, in this modern life where phone alarms ring louder than birdsong, even 5 minutes outside, touching the natural world, can refresh the spirit. A student once shared, during her deepest emotional crisis, she couldn't meditate, couldn't read, couldn't focus. But every morning, she could do one thing: stand silently on her balcony and just look at the trees, look at the sky. And those quiet moments saved her, not with words, but with the feeling that she was still alive, still part of something far bigger than her sadness. Being in harmony with nature doesn't require a trip to the forest or the sea. Sometimes it's sitting quietly near a flower pot on your porch. It's feeling wet grass under your feet. It's watching sunlight change color on your wall. It's the cool air brushing your face as you step outside. And the amazing thing is, when we spend enough time with nature, our minds slowly relearn the rhythm of peace. Not rushed like schedules, not pressured like ticking clocks, but steady like the sun rising, even when no one's watching. In Buddhist teachings, nature is considered a living expression of Dharma, truth. Everything in nature flows through impermanence, interdependence, and connection. Nothing exists by itself. A leaf can't stay green without sunlight, water, soil, and care. And we are no different. We can't thrive apart from the earth, the trees, the sky, the breath around us. Recent studies even show that just a few minutes in nature each morning lowers cortisol, improves mood, and deepens inner connection. So why not choose nature as a quiet companion on your journey home to yourself? And when you step into nature with mindfulness, what matters isn't what you see, but whether you are present with what's already here. You don't have to feel something profound. Just look, listen, breathe, and know this moment is already enough. So now, we've journeyed through 8 simple but powerful morning habits. Tiny seeds filled with transformative energy, rooted in the wisdom of the Buddha. From your first breath, to gentle silence, to whispered blessings, to simply standing beneath the morning sky. Each step is an invitation to come home, to stillness, to gratitude, and to a full, open heart. Life will never run out of challenges. But when your day begins with awareness, you, not the world, hold the wheel of your mind. You don't need to change the world. You just need to change how you enter your morning. One step at a time, gently, mindfully. The Buddha never taught us to run faster through life. He taught us to pause and truly see the path we're walking. And sometimes that path doesn't begin in some faraway place, but right here. In the moment you choose to slow down, place your hand on your heart and say, "Today, I choose to live with peace." If something in this message touched your heart, please subscribe to Buddhism Seeds, click like, share this video with someone you love, and leave us a comment below about the morning habit that helps you live more mindfully each day. Wishing you a gentle morning, a meaningful day, and a heart that always knows its way home.